Vuzu is a youth-orientated channel that was made by Mnet. The channel had envisioned bringing new content monthly, keeping up with the fast-paced nature of the youth in South Africa. On the 22nd of April, the channel announced that they're taking in Instagram video submissions for upcoming rappers. Record a 15-second clip of yourself rapping and use the hashtag Vuzu Hustle. 20 rappers were chosen from the pool of thousands of rappers by the 3 judges during a run-through screening. When they arrived, they were told that only 12 can stay in the house, crushing the dream for 8 artists before it even started. Each episode had artists taken through a series of challenges which included making interviews, writing promos, and workout drills?
Look at me. Do I look like the type of guy who can run 5 laps around a mountain? Nah.
I'm worried about Jimmy, Jimmy, how is he gonna do 5 rounds?
Yo, the chest was burning, but I never gave up regardless,
The challenges are supposed to embody the name of the show. The show was played over several weeks, but it seemed it was shot within a couple of days, which I'll get to in a bit. The winner would receive 250,000 Rand. A record deal with 5th season to the value of 250,000 Rand, and a music video with 100,000 Rand. 50,000 Rand was added for the runner-up, and an Opal Corsa was added for the 2nd season's winner. After picking off hopefuls from the house one by one, the show audience would determine the winner of the show via SMS. Guest judges are brought in from the 3rd episode of the 1st season. Almost every judge said something along the lines of,
like you had. For me, I haven't seen you up to this point, so, and I get what the judges are saying. I don't know how you actually got here in a sense of I don't know what you've been doing.
Which gives more credence to the fact that it was shot within a few days rather than week on week. Now, the reason why Idols does so well each season is because the audience is forced to connect with each artist every week if they are meant to choose a winner. Too much focus was put on the challenges the rappers did. The hustle is a great premise. However, a show is run by the audience watching. Without artists that the potential audience can root for week on week, people can easily lose interest, especially when judges make a decision outside the scope of the audience members. What you then have left is the show rejects and hip-hop enthusiasts watching. Contestants in the house included rappers from all over South Africa. For obvious purposes, I will only focus on the contestants that actually made it into the house. We were given small superficial glimpses into the personality of the artists rather than actually learning about who they are. Certain personalities shined more than others. Mupeme had a great persona which was immediately recognized by Kulichan. He was funny and showed maturity and intelligence in the challenges that were given.
Manager, I'm putting 50,000 Rand on Jimmy. God body, God persona.
Who you going for?
It doesn't matter,
Prince,
right?
yeah. You going for Princess one? Damn, clean sweep.
Clean sweep.
Yes, 50,000 would have been gone right there, Joe,
Probably the most prominent name to come out of both seasons of the competition, Shane Eagle, was an easy character to dislike at first. He was the typical good-looking high school jock that never grew up. It seemed in situations he used his looks and his physique to carry him in conversations. The more you watched though, you found glimpses of him being resilient and rising to the occasion when it needed him to. He had talents past his looks and probably had one of the best PR presentations I've ever seen from a rapper. Shane Eagle went on to sign with JR's Feel Good Music, then leaving Feel Good Music and going independent, finding massive success and even going on to do songs with Dreamville artist Bass. A good summary of Shane Eagle's career can be summarized in these 2 short clips.
I heard him say money's good for wealth. The only time I'm rich is when my mama living well.
I flew my mama to Paris. She used to stay on the street.
The winners of each season were Big Star Johnson and the less exciting Flex Rabanyan. The thing about Big Star is that he actually has all the musical talent you can put in one human body. It was obvious why he won, and he could easily be picked out from the first episode as one of the more memorable contestants of the season. His career never really took off after the show. General consensus is that the label which he was signed to, 5th Season, was the reason why. None of his music looked like it had the push that it deserved, but at the same time, Big Star didn't really have an eye-catching song until a few years later, which featured Questa. Then we get to Flex. Flex. Where do we start? So, the first time Flex really made headlines was when he came to a decision not to sign the deal with 5th Season, choosing independence.
When I thought about, okay, Sharp, you're coming here, you're gonna win this, but are you sure that you wanna get direction on when to go perform, where, what music you drop, how, with whom, you know? When I thought about that, I was like, nah, because my freedom is a huge part of who I am. And it's a huge part of who I am. So I was like,
yeah.
You know, I like being free.
But it's a year, Flex. I mean, just 1 year, you know, get the ropes, get in, do your thing and leave.
Nah, it's not like that. It's either you want it for now, which is quick, or you want it for a long time.
Which would have been a great thing if he had a great plan after Vuzu Hustle to excel in his career. What was Flex's plan? Flex tried to push his career using his Twitter fingers. The arrogance did not help his case. His career would dwindle and he wouldn't get the attention he thought he deserved. February 10th, he tweeted this. From that moment, we were given a rundown of how Vuzu TV, Callback Dreams, which were the producers of the show, and Opal SA had failed to register the car in Flex's name. He was essentially driving a car which belonged to someone else, thus getting him arrested by the police on more than one occasion. Within this rant, he also dropped hints that his music was being banned from outlets like Channel O because he would not sign the deal. December 12, 2018. Flex posted that he had paid 9,800 Rand to a particular person at Metro FM to have his song played on the station. This is obviously a no-no. Basically had the industry looking at Flex as a joke, starting a beef with Reason and PH, which I'll cover in a different video. Oh, and this happened.
I'm getting all of this money, I pray to the Lord that it never switch me. I still wanna be dope even after I'm rich, I don't wanna be Ricky.
Basically, Flex was probably the worst person to have chosen as a winner from the show. From the same season as Flex, we also got Manu, who had a massive hit song, Nalingi. From the first season, Quick Fast Cast went on to do a song with the late and great Pro. None of the contestants, however, with the exception of Shane Eagle, reached the kind of relevance resembling that of the judges. Which gets me to my next point. As I mentioned earlier, we had 3 judges. Kulichana, who first started out as 1/3 of the group Murafe, then pioneering the independent rapper culture, releasing his first album, Motswako Originator, with no record label. He went on to found the Mufftown Heights, which is an annual hip-hop festival. Stogie T, whose claim to fame was being the main vocalist of the band, The Volume. He went on to found Motif Records, which signed Reason and Ricky Rick. Finally, the man who doesn't really need much of an introduction, A.K.A. Probably the longest running hip-hop music career in South Africa to date, releasing his first album in 2012, his mega album Levels, which I covered in this video right here, and the latest Bovamania in 2020. At one point, AKA was the pinnacle of what you could reach in the South African hip-hop scene. all the artists in the judging panel had earned a seat at being allowed to be critics of artists on the come up. Being a critic and developing an artist, however, is two different things, which is why I would argue that artist-owned record labels don't usually fare well. In fact, I think the only artist label which stood the test of time is Rock Nation, which is why I personally think that choosing artists to make decisions about other artists' careers was the wrong move. I'd like to pause the video here. If you've made it this far in the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This would really help me to get into that 1,000 subscriber mark and that 4,000 hour threshold, which allows me to get paid for my work on YouTube. If you've just subscribed, thank you. Back to the video. Another reason why this was the wrong move is because the most sympathetic person to an artist's plight is a fellow artist. However, hip-hop is a genre which is bravado-driven, where showmanship is appreciated in the culture. Outside of the culture though, it isn't always seen as an integral part of the music industry in general. Knowing all of that, it's hard for artists to play both sympathizer and egocentric rapper. The problem with this is all three judges chose the latter. Take for example the scene where Tumi is taking the guest judge Proverb's constructive criticism and turning it into, well, judge for yourself and see what he did.
I want to add something else, man. I don't know if it's your aura or your vibe or whatever, but the other cats are giving me that they want it. You know what I mean? There's a certain hunger in their eye. You know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know, I'm not fully getting it. I'm not saying you're dull. You're saying you're dull.
I don't think Eric,
you know what I mean though, right?
I don't think Eric is.
Ricky Rick was one of the guest judges for the artist, and you can literally see how uncomfortable he was when the judges commented on the artists. At some point, he literally had to let the artist know not to take what his peers were saying too seriously.
Prince, are you that guy? Are you that dude that raps really well but just can't make a song? Are you that guy?
You sound like that guy.
Don't listen to these guys too much. The melody was right, but you didn't have the character of the hook. But that was cool, you know what I mean? But we're trying to make choruses here. It's very different from what you're gonna do in your verses.
Another combination could have been one artist and two industry heavy hitters like a label owner or artist developer, and a content curator such as a radio compiler or a music video playlister. This might be the number one reason for the fact that we have no season 3. I've scrubbed the whole internet and tried to find the Hustle viewership stats and ratings. Unfortunately, these aren't readily available for normal people like you and me to see. However, I have a few pieces of evidence that I've looked into which tell the story of the audience retention. Number 1. The channel which the show played on was a channel by the name of Vuzu Amp, a subsidiary, secondary, amplified channel to the original. Vuzu Amp was cancelled and dissolved into One Magic due to the low viewership and expansion of the Mzansi Magic brand the same year Vuzu Hustle Season 2 aired. No channel for the Hustle, no hustle. Number 2. The second season has literally been scrubbed from the internet at the time of this recording. Clips uploaded by fans of the show's gallery, and Twitter posts are the only evidence that the show ever existed. Flex could be a huge reason for this, but ratings make more sense. Even if Flex was problematic, if the show was big enough, the money made from binge watching on Showmax and reruns would have made up for that. Number 3. Going through tabs, I've searched through all of the top shows for each channel and during the time it ran. The Hustle did not show up once. Not even the finals. Whenever TV shows are made, over and above the content, the most important factor is the audience. The Hustle was no different. Besides the scathing reviews that were given here and there by show outlets and fans alike, the show failed to gather an audience outside of the hip-hop community. This is a subject matter which I feel very strong about. The South African music industry is already small, let alone the hip-hop industry. Contestants was able to elaborate on this more on the latest Lab Live podcast. At the moment, it seems like Blackie is the only guy we're watching. There's definitely space for new artists in the industry, and it's unfair that only one person is allowed or has the opportunity to eat at the hip-hop table. Keeping 100,000 Rand from the winning prize would have been enough to pay for artists to live in the house for weeks instead of days. Having the audience vote for each contestant builds an audience for that contestant. Once they leave the show, they can still have that core group that they can work on. Also, judges cannot vote artists out based on individual challenges rather than the performances. For example, artists that were voted out in the beginning of the show could have fared better if the audience was able to choose which artists they would like to see make it to the end of the show. Now, when you make an opportunity to make stars out of rising artists and you fumble the ball so bad, brands and artists alike are given even more reason not to invest in young and upcoming talent. Shane Eagle is proof that if the show had a bigger audience, there would be a following for more than just the winning contender.